please see the link in this episode's description for a trailer for an element of Pugilism. And there is a Z-Fest like contest going on, so do with that as you will. I'm a libertarian. I want you to choose what you want to choose.
No, I mean, don't you want people to like us? That's the whole point of it.
I want people to like us for us, not because they feel like...
Because we told them to?
Yeah, we're informing them.
Sure.
And then they can make their own decision.
Well, please click the link and click like.
Thank you.
You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. Less foaming than last time.
That's what she said.
Hello and welcome to Movie Beaters of the Farx Brothers. I'm Kirk.
I'm Kyle.
And we're going to be discussing new literalism with Nick Michael.
Literalism.
Literalism?
Literalism, because like...
Literalism.
Literally, like something that's literal. Like, think of an idiom and then imagine taking it literally.
Literalism. I don't know.
Time flies like an arrow.
I got an accent. I don't know.
But if you throw a clock, you said it.
We're still racist over here.
I can say it for myself. Oh. Yeah. I'm Asian. I got an accent.
On the last series of episodes, I said I was racist against whites because I couldn't tell the difference between the Danish and the Dutch.
Wow.
And then we were watching Wolfwalker, and it's an Irish movie. And I realized that I'm also racist against, like, the Irish and the British. Because, like, they're different, right?
No, I thought the running bit was that you hate the Irish.
Oh, I hate the Irish. Yeah. Let me be clear.
So it's not a bit, yeah.
Do you know there's only 5 million people in the country of Ireland?
No, I would have expected more.
Yeah. I learned that because... just to date the podcast as usual, Conor McGregor was at the White House recently and complaining about Irish immigration, which actually they have like added 1 million people to the island of Ireland. So now there's like 6 million people. They encouraged people to immigrate over the past 10 years.
So not actual Irish people, just random people from around the world?
Yeah, because there's been migration from... economic and worldwide unrest, one could say.
Well, let's get back to the topic. See, that's one thing that has changed as well. I don't say let's get back on topic as much.
I see.
I should let it ride.
I see the state of the world as being related to what is new literalism in film. Let's turn it to the guest. Nick, what is film literalism as you took it from this New Yorker article?
It's basically the kind of current trend that you're seeing even in, they made a point to note that even in like a lot of the Best Picture nominees for this year's Oscars have this tendency to feel like they have to be very literal with everything, be very on the nose and very telling you what they're doing, sort of thing, making it very obvious and not letting things speak for themselves. That would maybe convey that more subtly. That's the gist of the article.
The example that they gave that stood out in the article, I'm going to use the Anora one, and later I'll talk about the Brutalist one. Mm-hmm. The Anora one is that, it's a Cinderella story, so it's dumb that you hear her asking for the Cinderella suite when they have their Vegas vacation. You didn't see Anora, right?
No.
Mrs. Farx has watched half of it.
Was it a time thing, or was there like...
she was tired, so she didn't finish it.
It's not like, okay.
No. And I'll just get the Brutalist one out of the way, because did you recall what the Brutalist one was?
Yeah, the upside down shot of the statue. Well, the one I remember is upside down shot of the Statue of Liberty. Oh, yeah, because it's going to show you how America's kind of turned upside down by the immigrant experience. Yeah, or how they described it is that, look, arriving here as an immigrant turns your world upside down. And
there's another interpretation of that movie, which is it's about what it's like to be an artist in a capitalist world, and that it will literally fuck you in the ass because character is literally anally raped in the movie.
Well, now I got to see it.
I figured that would entice you a bit more. It's in part 2, so you'll have to sit through the intermission that's 15 minutes in the middle.
Do they bake 15 minutes of intermission into the digital copy?
I believe they do.
What the fuck?
I
Really?
think
I was joking.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I didn't
I'm
think
pretty sure they do, because Brady Corbet, this is my, thing that needs to be maintained this way, I guess. And I was going to argue on the side of this is a intelligentsia argument that is not helping film, is kind of the position I'm going to take. But I don't know how I feel about Brady Corbet after listening to him. The writer director.
Yeah.
Have you seen his other movie? I think he's made other movies beyond the one I'm thinking of with Natalie Portman, where she's like a pop star, but her origin story is that she survives a school shooting, which is a spoiler for that movie. But if you were gonna watch Vox Lux by this point, you would have. I watched it on Tubi when I couldn't sleep one day, and I haven't finished it. Not because
so you fell asleep during the movie?
No, I didn't fall asleep. I didn't go back to it because it wasn't stimulating. And like that movie bombed hard, and the point I'm making about film literalism and how it relates to Brady Corbet is that you find out, and I'm just going to ruin the Brutalist, is that Adrian Brody's character is making no money on this architecture project he's doing, because he keeps putting it back into the architecture project. Like, no, I'm willing to lose all my money or my fee on this so that we can have this specific type of Italian marble.
Okay.
Or whatever. And actually, Brady Corbet didn't make any money on The Brutalist, and has talked very openly about how he's not making money.
Yeah.
And my counter to this New Yorker article is something that Matt Bellamy of Puck News on his show The Town asked Bella Bajario of Netflix. Like, this is the actual literalism that is a problem, is that Netflix is designing things for people folding laundry, whereas I see it as part of the theme for Anora or Annie to ask for, the Cinderella suite, and that movie is more of a socioeconomic commentary than it is being too on the nose.
Yeah, the Anora example doesn't seem that offensive to me. Like, I get it, that how it could be seen that way. The Brutalist one, the upside down shot of the, like, it's from what you say, it seems like the actual theme of the movie is not immigration. It's something about, it's suffering for your art and giving something like that.
That's the metatextual interpretation. The theme of the just text within the movie, one would say, is the immigrant experience and how it's showing America upside down as yes, there's the interpretation of from the perspective of the immigrant, but then it's turning your perspective of America upside down as like, oh, it's a great place. No, it's not, because look what we do to our immigrants. Look how poorly we treat them and all this shit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if it's backed up, and if you can see other examples where you can see them trying to like convey that subtly, because that's like any theme, right? Like, you don't want to just blurt it out. But if you really want it to be your theme, you have to have like examples of it throughout. It can't just be one time. So if they back that up throughout the rest of the movie, and that is, thematically accurate, like that's part of what they're going for, then I can see, and that's how they want to like convey it with an upside down shot of the Statue of Liberty, then fine.
But there's this stupid person watching the movie who is me going, oh, well, he looked up, so this is his perspective of how the Statue of Liberty would look up. If you tilted your head up and something was so tall behind you,
it would be up.
It would look upside down.
Yeah.
It's, the shot of Rear Window where Jimmy Stewart, puts the binoculars up to his ear, and then, or excuse me, his fucking eyes, and then you see what he sees through the binoculars.
Yeah.
It's just that on some level. And
if you're just taking it as a point of view shot, which I haven't seen the movie, so I mean, but it sounds like
it is a point of view shot.
It is a point of view. Okay, well then I think the writer of that article did, at a certain point, I was like, this writer kind of likes the sound of their own voice a little bit, so I'm like, I get what they're saying, but and I agree with like some of the things. I mean, because it kind of touches on things I've complained about for a long time, like really on the nose dialogue.
But that's not in these like movies that are going to be nominated for Oscars. And
I mean, it was in Anora, Cinderella sign.
Sure. Can you think of any other examples from Anora? Because a lot of that movie isn't on the nose, like the douchebag playing, the rich oligarch's kid playing video games all the time. Like, it felt to me that it was showing more than it was telling. And when I think of what that article was trying to get at in terms of new film literalism, I would accuse the Netflix model of stringing things out too long and like, hey, it's been accused, and that's why I brought up Bella Bajaria's interview with Matt Bellamy, because he like said, hey, are you asking for, for your algorithm for people to like in the first 7 minutes say what's happening, even though you're showing what's happening, so the person folding laundry, which is not the case when you're watching The Brutalist, Anora, or I can't remember some of the other examples in here.
Well, the articles writer used Gladiator 2, The Substance, The Apprentice. Yeah, he used a lot of examples in the article.
Yeah, and with you saw The Substance, right?
I saw maybe like the first third of it.
How'd you only see the
and
first
then
third?
You shut it off, or you didn't care for it? Or?
Well, for some reason, my mom suggested watching it when I went over. And I'm like,
how did that happen?
I don't know why she...
Because she heard probably it's good, and wait, was this after she'd been nominated for an Academy Award?
Yeah, it was
Demi Moore.
No more than a couple weeks before the awards.
Okay.
And then after the fifth time seeing either Demi Moore's or Margaret Qualley's breasts or pubic hair,
you see a lot of their pubis.
There's enough for my mom to not want to watch it anymore.
My father watched the whole thing and then talked about it with my wife, which was delightful.
Oh.
Because
and he used the word concept, didn't he?
Concept?
Yeah, it had a lot of good concepts.
He said it had a lot of good concepts, but he thought it hit the nail over the head too hard. And that's when we did the touchback on our previous segment. In our retrospective, one of our best performing episodes is our spoiler conversation with Lori Ruvers about it, and her husband found the movie to be hitting him over the head with men are bad, women are abused by the male gaze. And I think that is part of the interpretation, but...
I think that's all the interpretation.
And Nick hasn't heard this argument,
yeah.
So I'll make it again, is that I think you can make a non-sex-based argument that it's about the younger self writing checks the older self has to cash. I heard it as an example today about like maybe Bill Clinton did too many drugs when he was younger because he doesn't have his fastball like he did when he was one of the greatest orators, or like he used to go to 3 church services when he was in his 20s so that he could shake hands, kiss babies, and he was considered the retail politics guy, really good at that. But later on in life,
but he's not a movie star. The entire movie is about how a younger, hotter version of Demi Moore always gets the achievements. She is being rewarded for how she looks. Don't you think in the entire movie, Demi Moore is ignored, she's pushed aside, literally, she's fired by her boss. So, I mean, it is about women, and women have a harder time aging.
That's the surface level interpretation.
That's a surface level. I think that... You think that's surface level?
I think it's the sex-based interpretation, whereas I still think the human-based interpretation would be that we're all getting older and we all will wish for a certain amount of youth.
It doesn't focus on the nurse. I mean, there was a male character who, spoiler, used the serum, the substance, but they don't focus on him. They don't focus on his struggles, what he's going through. Technically, the whole thing, he could just be... It's hard to work as an old man, but as a young man, I can still work.
I guess another example I would get, and this debate has been never ending and come up in subsequent episodes as is being evidenced. But like, if you think about aesthetics versus reality, that's something that you could apply to even non-humans, like what they do to food to make it look appetizing in advertisements. I see Nick nodding.
So
you take it
younger, more fresh, more fresh version.
They do disgusting things to food to make it look appealing for photography. And to some degree, the movie is about the way things look versus the way things are. Even I found out recently Margaret Qualley wears a prosthetic butt for part of it because you couldn't get a butt to do what they wanted it to do on camera. So, and I haven't researched that to prove it. Everyone should go look up the monkey wearing the Mickey Mouse outfit. Two separate things to look up.
That's
Huh.
So what got you to read this film literalism article?
Oh, it just showed up in my feed.
And then you had to read it because it's hitting all of the
Do you think it's prominent in the industry? Should we not make any? Should they? I don't know if we are in the industry, but should they not make any? Should they make more subtle films? Not on the nose.
I mean, I couldn't argue with the examples they were giving because I hadn't seen The Brutalist or Anora. I got what they were getting at, and in general, it was just I agreed with the overall argument, even though I couldn't really speak to the examples. So I overall liked where the article was going, even though, like I said, the author seemed like they kind of went on just for the sake of going on, and like they like the sound of they like reading their stuff back and hearing their own voice in their head. Maybe
I would also argue that someone who's in the newsroom at the New Yorker has a certain socioeconomic experience in their life that doesn't give them the perspective that Sean Fennessy of The Ringer recently made the argument that I want to cite my sources because I went to college and I remember doing bibliographies and I'm that kind of Lisa Simpson. That the new kind of Oscar-worthy or awards-worthy movie is one that deals with class struggle. And you could definitely attribute that to The Brutalist. You could definitely talk about that with Anora. Nomadland. I ultimately don't like the movie. Have you both seen Nomadland? I don't know if we...
Yeah, I've seen it. We argued about it before.
On the show?
Yeah, on the show, yeah.
Okay, because I don't like that she didn't, have to be poor, but she chooses to be
and
poor
I said
tourism.
They didn't romanticize it that much. They made it realistic.
Yeah, because they used poverty porn by going in and looking at actual homeless people. Unhoused.
I don't think it was poverty porn because they didn't romanticize it. She struggled through the whole movie.
Yeah, she shit in a bucket because she chose to shat in a bucket.
Yeah,
she
that's
didn't
her
need
choice.
to shit in a bucket.
I mean, sometimes I'll shit in a bucket.
No, but the problem is that there are people who don't need to choose.
Nick has shit in a bucket. When have you shat in a bucket?
No, I mean maybe there's been times I'm forgetting. I don't know.
He got inspired by the dog, his sister's dog.
Right, not in the house though, right?
Have you ever shat in a bucket in a house?
No.
Oh man, someday, not today. We'll tell the Radisson Blu story.
You're
do you know the Radisson Blu story?
Yeah, you told me.
Okay, good. I'm not going to tell it here now, but man, that's like a Z-Fest. That should be a Z-Fest legend. People should talk about what is a Radisson Blu and why is that a good conversation for Z-Fest. On that note, the thing I saw, Mandy June Turpin, local producer and actress of note from times in our cinematographic history, she posted when the Oscar nominations came out that the Oscars look like Sundance, and that's not a compliment. I would find that to be a greater argument about what, the film intelligentsia is valuing in the world versus, like the Academy Awards used to be, Titanic, the number one movie in the world, wins a bunch of awards. It used to award the things that they best. Like, I'll give an example. Robert Downey Jr. could have gotten a Best Supporting Actor nomination for Avengers Endgame. I know that sounds silly, but it acknowledges the accomplishment of what he did over 10 years, and why not? Like, they gave fucking Russell Crowe an Oscar for Gladiator when what he should have been given an Oscar for was The Insider.
Do you have an argument for...
No, like...
You didn't watch any of the Academy Award nominated movies because you don't give a shit,
no,
right?
I saw A Real Pain.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of that? 2.
Gotta have a Holocaust movie every year.
What was the other one I saw?
Why'd you laugh at that?
Only because... what's his name? Adrian Brody won technically for a movie starred in after the Holocaust. kind of thing.
Adrian
right?
Brody survived 2 Holocausts. Good for him.
The pianist?
No, The Pianist doesn't. Don't you see The Holocaust in The Pianist? I haven't seen it in 20 years, if I saw
I
it
haven't
at all.
seen it recently. Yeah, that's right. We joked about at the Oscar party, if he did it again, he could get a trifecta. He could, if he plays another character after the Holocaust, he could win a third
When
Oscar.
Trump throws all the actors in with
With the gulag.
and in the gulag.
Yeah.
He sends them over to Putin. Sorry, what other ones did you see from? I wanted to give you time to think about it. So I was bullshitting.
part of the substance,
Yeah.
but I think that was it.
I'd be curious what you think of the whole movie. I would strongly encourage watching the whole movie. I very much enjoyed it the 2 times I watched it.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Farx, I told her going into it, like, I'm not sure about this movie. Like, if you're going to be able to stand it.
Yeah.
But then she did. And she also, as we talked about in the last series, she watched that Speak No Evil movie, which now that I've seen both versions, the American version's so tame that it doesn't bother me, and it didn't bother her, the scissor thing that I'm leaving.
Wait, Mrs. Farx saw both versions?
No, Mrs. Farx did not watch the 2022 Speak No Evil.
I think she would have more to say about the 2022 version, for sure.
I think she would go mute for days if she watched that, and I wouldn't want to do that to her because it's dark. But why didn't you watch any of these movies? Because you're a film guy and you don't care about them, and that says something about what is being elevated by, and I'm going to keep using the word, the intelligentsia, the elites,
Yeah, but are you using that from She-Hulk? Where's the intelligentsia coming from?
No,
because I know from She-Hulk.
The intelligentsia refers to the elites in our society who are elite because of their status as public intellectuals, like people who write for publications, people who teach at elite universities.
Like the person who wrote for the New Yorker for New Literalism?
Yes, I definitely think you can accuse somebody who's writing this article as being part of the intelligentsia, and something that is part of one of the trends that you're going to say, oh, this isn't related. A lot of the people that work in journalism now are upper white collar, whereas it used to be a blue collar job, and most people can't afford to go to college, and then and as journalism has shrunk to people on TV and people at publications that have survived for a long time that tend to be of a certain socioeconomic background. Here's an example of what I'm talking about with how I'm out of touch. I'm watching White Lotus right now.
Yeah.
Are you watching White Lotus?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're out of touch because we watch, like, most of the country does not watch. A lot of the country can't afford HBO. Start there.
Fair, okay.
And then
It's only $9.99. No, I'm just,
with ads, you Philistine.
what? I don't have ads, and I didn't upgrade shit. Unless they just started. Oh, maybe they just started charging me more.
It might be $7.99 for ads. Hey, Max, we're willing to run ads for you on the show. We're whores. So
sponsors, yeah.
Yeah, we'll save that for the forward-looking segment we'll record after this. But here's another thing that goes back to films. How many movies does the average American see in a year?
2.
Like it's less than one hand.
Yeah, it's 2. I think it's 2 or less is the median moviegoer. Sees 2 movies a year. I asked my wife and she was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And then we did the math, and it's like, no, you see 2 movies you want to see, and then you see 3 or 4 kids movies. So you see a movie every other month.
Yeah. Where were we going with that?
Well,
let's get back on track.
The track is talking about film literalism and whether or not that's a bad thing. I think that this New Yorker article is out of touch, and the real literalism that is a problem for cinema, content, whatever you want to call it, is the cheapening of it by Netflix dropped a $320 million movie last week. Are you going to watch it? Electric State?
No.
Are you going to watch it?
I
Did
wanted
you even
to,
start
yeah.
it?
I haven't started it, but I do want to see it.
It's got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I am always okay watching a terrible movie as long as I know it's a terrible movie going in.
I had a random coworker bring it up to me today about how much they did not like it.
Oh, okay.
And they shut it off. And I'm just saying, there's like a lot of these, like Red One, Red Notice, and basically a lot of the Netflix movies with The Rock.
Red Notice was just on Netflix and Red One went to theaters.
Yeah, but I'm talking about and not to shit on the Russos, who I'm excited are coming back to the Avengers, I guess.
Let me debate that. The Russos didn't write Electric State.
I believe that's true, but they also directed The Gray Man. And can you remember anything from that movie being not wrote, or like even the opening when he's falling out of the plane? I was like, why am I watching this? I could go put on my 4K of Mission Impossible Fallout, and that scene was shot over 115 days, where Tom Cruise literally jumped out of a plane every day for 100 days during that shoot. So when you watch, have you seen Fallout?
I saw Fallout in the theater. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't remember much from it.
Do you remember when he falls out of the plane and it's all like one shot with him and Superman? He has to save Superman because he went out without his
parachute.
Yeah, his parachute.
Did you think it was Captain America, or
what?
Did you think it was Captain America?
No,
like in Winter Soldier, Captain America jumps out of the plane without a parachute.
Yeah, but what happens in Fallout is Henry Cavill, Superman, falls out of he gets knocked out or something before they jump, and then he has to save him with whatever. The point is just that, like, when I think of what Netflix is putting out there, that is the real dilution of movies that I think is hurting movies more than Anora saying, Cinderella Suite, or being an artist literally gets you fucked in the ass.
Well, so the article's examples are, like I said, I couldn't speak to them when I read the article. I mainly read the article because I was curious if it was going to be making the same argument that I've been making for a while, and it's not the exact same argument. They took a very more intellectual, they got kind of almost overly intellectual in it.
Okay.
Right? I mean, they got way into it. I was mainly just thinking, and it does intersect and overlap a little bit with my older argument, but just like things having to be beaten over having to beat you over the head with exposition and dialogue that's not natural. I was curious to see if they were going to go in that direction with it, and they pivoted. It's kind of talking about a similar thing, but not really. And their examples are not, like, I wouldn't have, those scenes wouldn't have jumped out at me as offensive to me if I were just watching the movies.
What are the movies you're thinking of?
Well, I'm talking about their examples that I said, like, I don't see. What
would be yours of, like, dialogue that's hitting it over the head?
I mean, it's in everything pretty much. Most things, it's like it's dialogue that is one of the big examples I hear all the time is like characters just say, speaking to another character, I don't like pepperoni pizza. No one would ever say that in real life, or and that just happens so many times. Like, I don't keep track of like what movies it's in. It's pretty much in everything though. Just being not good with how you're like figuring out how to convey information, and just being really like on the nose about it to the point where it's like you're obviously talking this way because they need to info dump, rather than how people would actually talk in real life. Not
to be obtuse, but what's the last movie you watched in full?
In theater, or?
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter.
Because it wasn't the last movie you watched in a theater, Heretic?
It was Heretic, I think. Yeah.
That was good.
I liked Heretic.
That even could have gotten, I would argue that would have been a better thing to have seen nominated. I don't know which Best Actor nominee I'd take out, but give Hugh Grant
Yeah. Well, see, that's an example where, like, I loved the first half with all the dialogue. I thought it was good dialogue.
But just when it gets weird at the end and somewhat supernatural?
Well, yeah, and like where you think it's going to go supernatural, and it's like it felt like they had to have a twist. Like they just needed some twist, and I don't think they were they were writing a check they couldn't cash, I think, with that. Because when all is said and done, it ends up convoluted, like kind of how I was talking about, like when you Heretic, you find out he's got, like, it was fake and he's got all these women in cages, but then you start asking questions like, well, like, okay, how does he get them there? Like where are they from? It creates all these new questions, and then it's like, oh, that's super convoluted. It's kind of similar to what I was talking about with my own script, where I got to that point and I had that moment where it's like, oh, similar to like all the women in cages, this is maybe a little too convoluted. Let's go back and
less women in less cages.
Yeah, you could make that a metaphor. Yeah.
What's the last movie you watched, like start to finish? Because Heretic was last fall.
Yeah.
What's something you watched with Roommate Girlfriend?
Well,
you guys must have watched a movie.
Oh, I guess. Well, yeah. So we do a retro movie night every month.
Oh, all right.
Every month? Okay.
Every month, yeah.
What was the last one of those?
Because in between, we're usually watching shows.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta.
You watched V for Vendetta?
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
God damn it.
It's
November
about
the
Guy
5th.
Fawkes, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, no.
Well, I mean, it's based on a comic book. Guy Fawkes is I think 16th century revolutionary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he wears a Guy Fawkes mask in the movie.
Yeah, I recognize the mask.
That might have been
Wait, and Roommate Girlfriend like that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is shocking for me. Is that a Natalie Portman thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I guess she likes action movies now that I think about it, so
Yeah.
that makes sense because she likes Fast and Furious more than you do. And the Jurassic, like,
Wait, hold on. She likes Fast and Furious more than you do?
than Nick does.
Yeah, it's more than Nick does.
Yeah.
She'd seen them.
Yeah,
All.
she'd seen more
All
of
of
them.
them?
Yeah. Well, maybe not all, but more.
Oh, yeah.
I'd only seen the first two until seeing F9.
F9 is like top 3 Fast and Furious movies of the 11 that have been released.
Yeah.
Wait, what's your top 3?
Definitely F5, probably F7 and F9. Do you have a different top 3?
F5, 4, and maybe the first one?
Fast and Furious?
Yeah, because it actually had a story. It started the whole thing.
But you don't like 7?
I don't remember 7.
That's when they jump between the 2 towers.
No, I don't remember that, no.
Oh, man, that's a shame.
I might have to rewatch it, the whole thing.
Definitely before part X part 2 comes out.
Wouldn't it have come out this year, but Vin Diesel's doing something with the movie,
Leave
right?
Vin Diesel alone.
I think they're like waffling on what they're planning for
Yeah,
it.
because he doesn't know the ending.
There was a weak reaction, I believe, is what people would say, to Fast X.
Yeah.
Even though they, and spoilers for Fast X, fuck you, I guess, dear listener. Fucking Wonder Woman comes back in a submarine, even though she got killed in 6.
Spoiler.
And the Rock comes back, and what was the other? And they're literally like hanging off a cliff while a dam is breaking or something.
Yeah.
And everyone's in a plane going. You saw Fast 10?
I saw Fast
X,
He
yes.
saw it with us.
I think
Yeah, I
we
was
all
there, yeah.
Okay, we were all there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you see, like, that was a dumb movie, but I enjoyed it, and I don't think that's what's ruining cinema, because that was the movie that was after COVID, like, the movies
Yeah.
were saving cinema, because they had the SNL sketch where he said the movies.
Yeah, because there wasn't an Avengers film right after COVID, so yeah, I would say Fast X was quote-unquote saving cinema, sure.
And we should have wrapped this segment up, but real quick, how did you guys feel about that article about film bros ruining indie cinema who are like fanboys of A24 and Neon? Because at least those guys go to the movies would be my argument. I didn't like what that former Neon intern said.
Yeah, I wasn't really picking up what they were trying to put down. Like, I thought, well, it's another thing where, like, you sent it to me. I would have read it out of curiosity, but you sent it to me.
Yeah.
But, like, the other one I read out of curiosity, like, is this going to be, how aligned is this going to be with this argument I've already had? I thought this article was going to go a different way, and I thought it was, like, the bros, like the CEOs of these companies.
Yeah. No, you're supposed to blame the voter, not the people that get elected.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't think it was going to go after the fans of the movies so much. I mean, I don't see how that's a problem. I thought they were going to go the route, and this argument would be something I like not 100% certain I agree with, but like I could see this being true more as like someone being turned off by the, when the indie becomes the mainstream, sort of like now that's more commercialized. We liked it when it wasn't commercialized. We want, where it had integrity and now it doesn't have integrity or something like that,
Integrity.
And lamenting that, A24, like Neon now is kind of how A24 was, and A24 is more like, I almost want to say like a Lionsgate, but with less action movies, like mid-level budget action movies with washed up action stars than Lionsgate.
Hey, I enjoy Den of Thieves Pantera.
That's
I actually
exactly
really
the type of
enjoy
movie.
Den of Thieves Pantera.
There's movies like they just barely didn't go straight to video. They're just barely over
You haven't
that.
watched The Wicks. the four wicks.
Well, yeah, I watched the first one. I'm like, this is not.
It gets better. The action gets better. It's a lot more.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like how Fast and the Furious takes place in LA, but then after that it goes all over the world. The John Wicks do the same thing and build on the lore, and everyone like escalates it from the one before, and they have an actual ending out of the four of them, and they're making a sidequel that'll come out this year, and hopefully we'll save, because Lionsgate is screwed right now. All of their movies last year bombed. The Crow, I think they spent like 50 to 60 on, and that bombed hard. I'm trying to think of what the other movies were, and like in general, the problem is people aren't going to the movies, and that the movies being made are either $2 million movies that make a 10x multiple, or they're a $200 million movie that has to hit 500 million worldwide to justify the spend. And it's, Kirk's going to hate this, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like the economy, where my Mrs. Farx was looking at property back where we used to live before we moved into our house. And she was pointing out that, what's weird is that it's either $200,000 condos or $1 million homes and nothing in between. Like, this is because our economy is getting financialized everywhere, everything is being made worse, and someone needs to break that. Like, now I sound like a Marxist. Like, we need to take the means of production, and to some degree we do have the means of production because we make movies. We're just trying to figure out how to make it economical to continue doing so, and it's almost broken us, but look at us now here, right?
Yeah, but just to pull back on the whole film bros, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes existed before Letterboxd. Letterboxd, or was it?
Letterboxd, yeah.
Letterboxd, yeah. So, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes told you what movie not to like and what movie to not watch. So, I don't know what the argument with Letterboxd. I mean, people aren't watching these movies anyways for word of mouth. Like, given Captain America Brave New World,
that's because Marvel is they diluted their brand by putting too much in the market. It goes back to the what we were talking about with AI in the last segment, where and that's, again, it goes to a big corporate dumb thing where they had a streaming platform that came out that had to compete with Netflix. Bob Chapek takes over for Iger and then goes, we need to pump everything to Disney Plus, because that was the mandate given to him by Iger. He gets forced out. Iger comes back and he's like, oh, let's put Moana 2 in theaters, and look at that, it made $1 billion, and we were just going to spend $200 million and put it on Disney Plus and hope that we would reach profitability in 2024. I think they did in 2024, but and part of that was because they were giving it away at a lower price in India because you could watch cricket there. Yeah, because they boasted.
My argument is, why is Letterboxd more successful in telling people not to watch a movie than Rotten Tomatoes is?
Letterboxd only has 17 million users right now. It's gone from like 2 million to 17 million in the past.
1.7 to 17.
Okay.
I read,
Oh, which article was that? Was that the Film Bro one?
Film Bros one, yeah.
I feel like that's such a small segment. That's less than 5% of the country, though, and it's a global platform.
But you made an article about it. You can't blame it if Rotten Tomatoes is doing a lot more negative towards the box office than Letterboxd is, right?
I don't believe that Rotten Tomatoes is doing that. I think that
I don't know.
Critics,
it could be.
It goes back to my, and we'll end this segment soon, but it goes back to my argument about critics being from a certain place, like the ones that are in what are considered, actual publications, and a certain background. And then you look at some movies that have like an audience score, like the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes has been around for a while, and that I find that helpful. If a movie, like, of course Venom isn't going to do well on a critic score.
Yeah, of course that. Why, I'm asking, and you might not be able to answer this, but why are people more reliant on Letterboxd when Rotten Tomatoes has critics and audience scores?
Market saturation. More people are aware. If you go up to 5 people on the street and ask them about Rotten Tomatoes, you're more likely to find somebody who knows what that is. Whereas if you go up to 20 people on the street, you might find one who knows what Letterboxd is. And if you're able to take some sort of perfect demographic sample.
Yeah, but if you get one for Letterboxd, you get another percentage for Rotten Tomatoes, wouldn't you follow more Rotten Tomatoes than Letterboxd?
Because more people are using it? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't understand why the article is blaming Letterboxd for affecting...
It was a blame the voter article. I'm sorry. That's what I think it was. And I always think that's wrong. It's not the voter. It's not necessarily... Like, yes, habits have changed, but we trained people over COVID and even before that by putting things online and devaluing cinema.
I don't think we could blame one thing. There's a accumulation of things we have to blame. COVID, streaming. The article is too black and white about the whole thing.
The economics of making movies has changed. Let's give it to the guest for
You're
the
still
last...
talking about the tech bro, or not tech bro,
film bro
thing.
Yeah.
I got lost of which article we were still talking about, but
Please look up these articles, dear listener.
I was actually not. I was pivoting away from that. I was just thinking like all these different things we're talking about. Well, the devaluing. Once you devalue, that leads to conditions where I think things are either the super low budget movies because they're a low risk. But then the only thing that they know for sure, at least historically, but that's that trend seems to be dying out, is that what used to be a sure thing, big budget movies. So like they have the two extremes. Like this one doesn't, like maybe it doesn't make any money, but it doesn't cost anything to make. So we'll do the $2 million movie. But anything that feels like a sure thing on the other end of the spectrum is some huge superhero thing that's going to be $200-300 million. And so it's and I guess you have to be what's the word? I guess careful with money if like the value is down. Like if you're not, like if it, I don't know how I'm not saying this right, but I think you get what I'm getting at.
It's the over financialization of movies.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to take a shot at Clinton just because I'm here.
Right.
You realize that this happened, it applies to TV, but I think this also happened with movies as well. It used to be the case that ABC could not produce a show and then put it on its own airwaves. It had to sell it to CBS, NBC, or one of these other things. And when Clinton came in the 90s, he made it so no, ABC can produce a show and put it on ABC, and then when ABC has to decide which shows it's going to keep in the spring for next fall, guess which shows they're going to pick more often? The ones that they're producing themselves. And the actual only real hits on TV right now are like Abbott Elementary is produced by the WB and it airs on ABC. The same thing is kind of happening in movie theaters because they're all getting conglomerated into larger and larger corporations, and the movie studios exist as parts of much larger corporations. Like Universal is part of Comcast, NBC, it's all one big homogenous thing. And this was happening in the 2000s as well. It's a Clinton, Bush, all these guys, like for the past 40 years, basically since Reagan, have been letting all of these things get hoovered up into big things, and that sucks. Should we dump out of this so we can kind of talk about, hey, where should this podcast go, given that we just had like some real downbeats on like where the movie business is?
Join us on our next segment to talk about the future of the podcast. Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.